Hell yeah, boy! It's the competition. Alright, I'm a pianist by trade, yet I can hardly play at all. I do think that in usually the first trial, they want you to press every statement so you can get more information. In case you don't know how cross-examination works in this game, I'll have a quick rundown of it. So your job is to go through the witness or whoever's up on the stand. Your job is to go through all their statements, and you have to either get more information out of them by hitting the press button, or if you find an inconsistency, then you would present a piece of evidence that would prove that what they're saying is a lie. And from there, if you get it right, you make progress in the game and you proceed throughout the trial, like, you know, to find out what happened, whatever, right? That's about it. That's about the gist of it. So let's press everything. You can hardly play? Oh, I play sometimes, when customers demand it. So I play them one song. That's usually all they want. Was that supposed to be a boast just now? The title of pianist is a mask, a respectable face I wear for the world at large. Then what are you really at the Borscht Pool Club? My real job is to take on interested customers over at the poker table. Hold it! They pay you just to play poker? That would seem to be the case. I'm a professional after all. Bah! Do I detect pride in that statement? It's just hard for an honest, hardworking member of society like me to imagine. Yes, your imagination was always a bit limited with stuff. What? I played poker for 7 years in that little room, and I've never lost. Once. What? You see why the customers come now? Defeat the undefeated poker champion. It's quite a draw. That is, I'm quite a draw. He sure is. He sure is, handsome boy. He's also a drawing. Wait, you never lost once? Not even one time? As I said, I'm a professional. He's played poker for 7 years and not lost once? Is that even possible? The room we play in the competition in there are the club's main attractions. The room in the crime scene photo is an attraction? Yeah, did you see it? It's a roller coaster. You sit on the chair and you ride in it. It is quite a history, actually. The Borscht Pool Club used to be a gathering spot for black market types back in the day. But black market? All in the past. Things like the black market are only on the silver screen nowadays. Suffice it to say that there were a lot of deals being made under the table. Right there in that room. Smoky room? Gambling hoods? You know, just looking at this picture makes me feel bad. The bosses gather around the table, cutting deals, safe from the eyes of the law. Meanwhile, a goon keeps watch through the small window. I can practically picture it now. That window does look like it would be good for keeping a lookout, but little else. That's not true. You can pass chips through there. I wasn't even... it's funny I say chips because there's poker chips on the table. I wasn't even thinking of that. I was thinking of potato chips, but I guess you could also pass poker chips too if you needed to. The room had a few other tricks to it, though it was common knowledge to our regulars. At any rate, they come to play poker in a room steeped in history. Despite the dark past, it was all just good, clean fun. The rules are simple. We play a game of poker using 2 decks of cards. 2 decks of cards? A simple measure to prevent cheating. If you alternate 2 decks, no one can slip in cards. There was something else I noticed. In addition to the cards on the table, there are some lines scattering on the floor. Oh yeah, I guess there are. Precisely. Cards on the table, cards upon the floor. Each one forming a complete deck. A crime scene painted blue by a sad sweep of cards. It's poetic, really. Incidentally, we used 2 types of cards at the club. One deck of cards was red, the other blue. As I recall, in poker, you make 5 card hands. I can see how it would be easy to cheat. Yes, a game of hands. Patty cake, bakers, what's the word? Bakers, man, hand? Bake me a cake as fast as you can. Roll it. Squeeze it. Pat it with your thumb. And then there's cake for every. Oh, I don't fucking. I don't remember the words to that. I'm old. Oh, that's all I have to do. No inconsistencies there. This competition you're talking about. I believe the court understands the nature of the game sufficiently. That's right! It was a simple game after all. Are you sure? Huh? People are not murdered over simple games, Mr. Justice. Oh, you should see how gamers are when they're fucking playing like games online, but dude, that rage, that what do you call it? I was trying to. Never mind. Forget I said anything. Shut up, me. Defendant, you were in the room that very moment that the crime occurred, yet you claim no connection to the crime? Now that's strange. What's strange? I was testifying about the competition that night. Asking me about the crime at this point is against the rules, Your Honor. Of course, I expected to hear a cry of objection from the defense. I completely let that one slip by! Don't despair yet, Justice. Sir? Right, there's something I'd like to make clear. Namely, your connection to the case at hand, and I'd like to hear it from you. Sure, why not? Very well, the defendant will amend his testimony. Just one little press, and I've got myself a whole new testimony. I plead silence regarding the murder, but I will say I never touched the murder weapon. Now, if you remember the evidence that we looked through, the little bottle had mentioned that it had Mr. Wright's fingerprints on it. So you know right then and there that there's a contradiction. But I'm gonna press anyway to see what he says. Silence? The defendant has the right to refuse to testify. I haven't forgotten everything about the law. But why? That clearly puts you at a disadvantage. And it's your job to turn that around in our favor, yes. Great, like I didn't have enough to do already. Justice, didn't you detect anything odd about that testimony? Huh? Wait, something he said did ring a little strangely. Just one thing. Now what was it? When you figure it out, I'd suggest presenting evidence. Evidence that contradicts the testimony. A contradiction in Mr. Wright's testimony? But why? I'd better check the court record. I can't imagine Mr. Wright lying in a testimony. Isn't it a little early to be jumping to conclusions? This is your first cross-examination. Take it slow. If you need more information, don't forget to press. Right, I got it. I'm fine. Time to listen to that testimony again. Also, please don't judge me for what sort of accent I do at all. I'm not good with accents at all. I just make it up. There's no attempt of me trying to be British, German, Scottish, any of them. Okay, so please also don't take offense to it either. I don't think anyone would, but just in case. Okay, so we're gonna go back to that statement. And we gotta present the little bottle. Would you like a drink, Mr. Wright? It's empty. So you say you didn't touch the murder weapon? This grape juice bottle? Right? So I said. Something the matter, Mr. Justice? Luscious. Too bad our new defense attorney never learned how to play dumb. What's this, Mr. Brain? I examined the bottle in question, you see. And it was covered with the defendant's fingerprints. Oh my god, oh my god. Objection! No need to shout, Mr. Justice. I can hear you just fine. Excess yelling can damage the judge's ears and our case. But what about my cords of steel? Anyway, what's so strange about fingerprints on a bottle in a restaurant? Well, that's true. The prints alone don't prove he did it. Ow, they wouldn't prove a thing if they were normal fingerprints. Huh? But the fingerprints on the murder weapon were upside down. Upside down? What does that mean? It means he was holding the bottle inverted. And there can only be one reason for that. Bing, bing. See, it can't be him because that guy that was holding the bottle was didn't have sleeves, and not everyone, Riot has a hoodie on and he has sleeves down, so that couldn't be him. Yes, to brain someone with the bottle. Ah! Oh my god, wait, Apollo has the sleeves rolled up. Oh my god, it was Apollo, he did. Mr. Gavin, I think things just took a turn for the worse. Oh, I see no problem, Justice. Huh? The only thing that matters is the truth. There's a good reason for everything, you'll see. Defender, can you explain your fingerprints on this bottle to the court? Nah, bitch. I stand by my plea of silence regarding the murder. For now. Not very cooperative, are you? This could hurt your case. I'm sure he's uncooperative because he's hiding something. There must be some reason. Objection. Your Honor, you seem to have forgotten something. And why that? Sorry, I was distracted by how good-looking you were. What might that be, Mr. Gavin? On the night of the crime, who was it who reported the murder to the police? Reported? Well, that was the defendant, Mr. Wright. But still, that... Really? Yes, well, according to the case file, the murder was reported from near the scene by a call from the defendant's cell phone. Near the scene? Let's take a look at the diagram of the murder scene, shall we? I drew it myself. The victim was murdered in a small room in the basement 2 floors down from the ground level. Of course, cell phones can't get reception so far down. The defendant used the stairs in this hallway to go above ground. Moshi Moshi, it's Nick Desu. The call came from the first floor of the restaurant. I see, and this is the phone that made the call? It's a little Nokia phone. Remember the good old days of the Nokia phone? I don't think I ever had, I never had one, but I mean, I still feel nostalgic over it. Right, cell phone added to the court record. Let me take his phone number. The defendant could have just fled, the defendant could have just fled the scene of the crime if he so chose. Yet, he fulfilled his duty as a citizen and reported it to the authorities. And you claim he is being uncooperative. Nice save, Mr. Gavin. I'd better not waste this. I think the prosecution has toyed with our client enough for the time being. The toyed? I assured you no one is more serious about... What was it you said? The defendant was in the room the very moment that the crime occurred. How can you possibly know this? That's a good question. How indeed? The answer is simple, Your Honor. The prosecution has a decisive witness. I didn't stutter. You're as good as they say you are. So someone else was in the room at the night of the crime. That must mean they witnessed the crime. Everything's up until now has been a warm-up, Justice. Are you ready? Very well. The prosecution may call its first witness to the stand. Oh yes, this little cheeky dicky. The witness will state her name and profession. Hold on just a moment. Where's the witness? I surmise that she's been frightened by the defense's demonic-looking horns. Okay, so I just had to do a little change in the settings for the audio because I had noticed that the game audio might have been a little bit too loud, but now it's set up where I can do whatever. It's technical stuff. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. What was I doing? Okay. I surmise that she has been frightened by the defense's demonic-looking horns. So I used a little hair gel. Relax, people. Have no fear. If any horns point in your direction, this court will cut them off. You are sure? I swear to my gavel. Please, come out. Isn't violence against hair a crime, Your Honor? He wouldn't know. He doesn't have hair. She's supposed to be like a Russian girl, but I don't know how to do a babushka. Well, if you are sure it is okay. That's not Russian at all. Like I said, don't question how I do accents, please. Now the prosecution. Whoa, wait a minute. Would the prosecution care to explain the witnesses' paraphernalia? Yes. She's a professional, Your Honor. Those are merely the tools of her trade. And that would be? How do you do a Russian accent? I'm just gonna offend all the Russians out there. My name. In Soviet Russia. I think that's supposed to be a meme and not an actual accent. My name is Olga O'Reilly. Okay, you know what? Babushka. That's all I know how to say in Russian. Babushka. Что? That's all I know how to say. My name is Olga O'Reilly. Olga. Oh, god damn it. I'm gonna be. Okay, you know what? Fuck it. Fuck it. I can't do a Russian accent. I don't know how to do it. My name is Olga O'Reilly. I am employed as a waitress in Borscht Bowl Club restaurant. Then why the camera? Of course, it is my pride to serve borscht that is naming restaurant. But I also perform, how is it said, other service. That's just, I can't do accents. I take it as one of these services is taking the customer's pictures. Like for example, this one. I can't, I'm so stuck on like doing like a slight Japanese accent because that's all I like think about. No, when it comes to different languages. She's not supposed to be Japanese. Also, this picture's in color. So what the fuck was that black and white picture that we saw, huh? That's the defendant? Indeed, on the night of the murder. Man in white hat is one who has gone kaput. Indeed, that is the victim. Order! This is quite a piece of evidence to casually drop into our laps. It is the same way as I drop cold bowls of borscht on the laps of customers, casually. Then the court will casually accept as new evidence. Olga's photo has been added to the court record. Now witness! Where were you at the time of the murder? I was in room. The hideout, we call it. Excuse me? The hideout? It is room where famous gangster bad guy was arrested. Is room where murder took place. What? Your look of utter surprise. It is lovely. I'm so. Oh my god, my inability to do accents is fucking embarrassing. I will post my courtroom door later for you. Photos will be numbered and you will rate which ones you want copy of. I'm sorry to all Russians out there. So there were 3 people in the room at the time of the crime. The victim, Shady Smith, Mr. Wright, and Olga O'Reilly, our witness. And if Mr. Wright isn't the killer, that means... Very well, witness. You will testify to the court about that night's event. Oh my goodness. Witness testimony that fateful night. That night, customer asked me to deal cards for games. That night, someone's gonna fucking hear this and be so fucking offended. I can't do it. I'm trying to think of who do I know that's Russian. I don't really know anyone that's Russian. Good God, I need to make more friends. That night, customer asked me to deal cards for games. It was cold. Both players played with hats on, The victim, he played the whole time with his hand locket at his neck. Then, last hand is done, but something terrible has happened, That man flew at victim and is strangling him to death. Good luck. I know I said to not fucking worry about the accents, but I myself cannot stop worrying about the accents because I have no idea what it is I'm doing. I imagine it being said in a way, but once it comes out of my mouth, it doesn't sound like what I imagine at all. Gosh. Incidentally, who won the game? Isn't it obvious? The winner was the victim, Mr. Smith! Objection! That's ridiculous. Because Mr. Wright can't lose! Justice. Maybe you can come up with a more legitimate objection. He's just being French for some reason. Fucking whatever. But he hasn't lost in 7 years! Take it from me, kid. It happens. I didn't lose a case my first 7 years as prosecutor. Why did you pause? Why did the fucking pacing get like... either. Incidentally, I have some evidence here. Chips. Nom, nom, nom. Delicious. These are the poker chips that they lay at the very moment of the crime. The hand and chips on this side belong to the defendant, Mr. Wright. Those on the far side belong to the victim, Mr. Smith.
Chips, you say?
Yes! Imagine that poker is war! Your hand is your army and the chips are the spoils.
Oh, I know that. After all, in my youth, I was known as the poker head of courtroom number 3.
I think he means poker face.
Looking at this picture, it does seem that most of the chips are on the victim's side of the table.
Chip photo added to the court record.
Very well. The defense may cross-examine the witness.
Okay. Cross-examination that fateful night. That night, customer asked me to deal cards for games. Impressive. You were dealing cards. Do you do this often? Da, I am doing this. If customer wishes it, I serve anything. Borscht, cards, more borscht. It is my work.
It's good to hear of a place that hasn't forgotten the meaning of service.
Welcome to Borscht Bowl Club, where borscht is as warm as the waitresses. Thank you for not handing out flyers during the cross-examination. It was cold. Both players played with hats on, da. It's already April. How could it be cold?
April can be kind of cold, Apollo. Global warming and all.
At Borscht Bowl Club, we have pride on authentic rustic Russian restaurant theme. Outside it is city... What? Outside it is city in spring, but inside it is always as cold as Mother Russia. No way am I going there. When it comes to hot borscht, cold is best seasoning, da. The victim, he plays whole time with hand on locket at his neck. His locket? I believe it was good luck charm, da. He gripped it many times as he played that night.
Yes, he must have felt though it might carry him to the moon and the stars. Though if it were small enough to fit around his neck, it wouldn't have much lift.
The defense would like a clarification. This is a locket we're talking about? I mean, a pendant with a picture in it, right? Not a rocket?
Of course, I knew that. It was probably a pendant shaped like a rocket. That's why she called it that.
No, a locket's a locket. It's of the shape. It's considered bad form to poke fun at the hard of hearing in our society. Hard of hearing or hard of understanding? So what happened next? Then, last hand is done, but something terrible has happened. Something terrible?
The defense will refrain from needless shouting.
Sorry. I need to seriously reconsider this vocal training thing. Now, Miss O'Reilly, can you tell us what happened? Oh, I was so frightened. I trembled with fear. That man flew at the victim and is strangling him to death. I think this is the contradiction because he didn't choke to death. He got bonked on the head, but we'll see. Oh, what? But the defendant would never do such a thing! Eek!
Well, no, I can't say I've ever heard the defense try this tactic.
Isn't there like a conflict of interest to have fucking Justice defend Wright anyway? Like, obviously they don't know each other, but like clearly Justice is like a fanboy of Wright, but whatever. If possible, please refrain from embarrassing me.
Still, why would anyone do something like this over a game of poker?
Perhaps it is because defendant has lost game? Yes, a crushing defeat for a man undefeated. So it always is with men like him. Winners make sore losers. Oh, how the mighty fall. Go ahead. I believe you know what it is you need to do. Right, sir. Leave it to me. There were only 3 people in the room at the time of the murder. The victim, Shiny Smith, Mr. Wright, and if Mr. Wright isn't the killer, I got you now, O'Reilly. I can't believe this little girl killed a man. Man flew at victim and is strangling him to death. In Mother Russia, girl kills boy. What was I trying to say there? I don't know. Autopsy report. Time of death was around 2 a.m. April 17th. Death caused by a single blow to forehead. Is there more? There's more information here. Cause of death is cerebral hemorrhaging resulting from blunt trauma to the forehead. Between 1:45 to 2:15. Alright, let's present this. Objection! Oh, really? Strangled, you say? That's odd. Duh, normal customers only choke on bush. No, I mean the report shows that the victim died of a blow to the head. Fuck! Miss O'Reilly, really now? Did you witness the crime? Eek! Good catch.
Looking at the picture, it doesn't seem like he was hit. He's still wearing his hat and everything.
Yet, it is a fact that he was hit, Your Honor. Here's a photo we took of the victim with his hat off during the investigation.
Well, that's quite shocking, isn't it? His head certainly was hit.
Crime photo 2 added to the court record. But I have seen it happen. The defendant, he lunged at victim, his neck. Oh, really, Miss O'Reilly? I think I've caught you in your own lie this time. Justice, I admire your enthusiasm, but perhaps you should think this through once more. What do you mean? I found a contradiction. Isn't that enough to get her not guilty? There's one thing in her testimony that troubles me.
Very well. It seems we should continue the cross-examination.
There's such a thing as thinking too much. This horse is dead. Let's stop beating it.
Apollo, you contradicted her once. It's okay.
There's such a thing as thinking aloud too much, too. That night, customer asked me to deal cards for games. It was cold. Both players played with hats on. The victim, he plays whole time with his hand on locket at his neck. Then last hand is done, but something terrible has happened. After the defendant tried to strangle victim, he hit him with bottle. Let's press that, because that's a new statement, I think. You didn't say anything about hitting before. So sorry. I must be forgetting this,
Witness, you will take greater care with your testimony.
Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor. And that clears up the discrepancy with the autopsy report, I believe. The defendant made to strangle the victim, then changed his mind, and chose a simpler, blunter means to do the job. Yes, that sums it up nicely. So he strangled him, then hit him? Something's fishy about all this. Go ahead, I believe you know what it is you need to do. Right, sir, leave it to me.
Okay.
I can't fully remember. I think it might have to do with both players played with hats on. Victim, he played whole time with his hand. I think the picture that we had just gotten shows that he doesn't have a locket on his neck. Hold on one second. God damn it. Okay, so I think this should be the contradiction. Present. You know, there was one curious part in her testimony, just like Mr. Gavin said. But what does it mean?
Mr. Justice, would you care to explain what it is you're thinking so intensely about?
Recall the testimony, Your Honor. The victim played with his hand on locket at his neck, I believe she said. I hope you aren't about to raise an objection to the witness's grammar. No, but look at this photograph. Every time he does it, makes me laugh. Who doesn't make that joke? Do you see a locket on the victim's neck? I sure don't. Well done, Justice. I am impressed. I knew you'd be able to handle this. But what does it mean?
If we are to believe this testimony, I mean, if we are to believe this witness's testimony as is, then the locket disappeared following the victim's death.
Lockets don't just disappear, Your Honor. It's quite simple when you think about it. If the locket is gone, someone must have taken it off, no? Taken it off? Wait, you don't mean... The defendant wasn't strangling the victim at all. He was taking off his locket. Wouldn't that explain it?
Oh.
Eric?
Yeah, blah, 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 blah. The defendant, what do you have to say about this?
Nice locket you got there, buddy.
Sorry,
Yes?
I just noticed this, but you have something hanging around your neck, don't you?
Oh, you mean this? Yes, it's a locket with a photograph inside. A photo of my daughter.
Come again?
Mr. Wright, you have a daughter?
We confirmed it at the time of the arrest. The picture in the locket is indeed Mr. Wright's daughter.
I want to see the daughter. I know who it is. I have to say I want to see her because I love her dearly. So Mr. Wright has a locket too? Why don't I buy that this is just a coincidence? Yeah, because obviously Shoddy Smith had a locket. A locket with a picture of Mr. Wright's daughter. What does he?
Well now, if the results of this poker game led to the murder, perhaps we should hear a bit more about the outcome of the game?
Further testimony won't really be necessary. It's clear that the defendant lost badly.
Miss O'Reilly, you will testify to the court about the game played between the victim and the defendant.